I mentioned earlier that Linux is a multi-user operating system, and we've just seen how to create a new user. As things stand now, any user on this system will be able to read the files and folders inside of the home folder of any other user. That's by design, and in order to help you understand how the sharing works between users, I need to take a slightly nerdy detour into talking about file permissions. On a Linux system, users are organized into groups, for management purposes and to make sharing files easier. So at any given time, a file has a user and a group associated with it. In order to control access, we can tell the system how to treat access to a file based on the owner of the file, the group of the file, and a third category called Others, which is anyone who is not the user that created a file and who is not a member of the file's group. We can give these different categories the ability to read, write, and execute a file. I'll open up my file browser and right-click on my Documents folder, and then I'll choose Properties. I'll click on the Permissions tab. And here are some options to set the access levels for the owner, me, the group, and others. Normally, I'll have access to create and delete files that are inside of my home folder. The items in this list go in order of increasing privilege. So while I can create and delete files, I can also access them, which means I can read their contents, and I can list them, which means I can see them. When it comes to the group settings, Ubuntu works a little bit differently than other Linux distros. Most other distros block access to the group and others entirely, but Ubuntu leaves that somewhat open in order to make sharing files a little easier. Here in the next section, we see a group that's the same name as my user. When my user was created, there was also a group of the same name created, and that group can access my files. And others here also can access my files. So any user that I create, as long as I don't change their group membership, will be an other. And this is the setting that controls access for those people. To prevent access to my home folder by other users, I could set this to none. List files only would allow them to see the files but not read the contents. And access files, as I mentioned earlier, lets users read a file but not modify it. I'll leave the permissions here for now. There's a little more to it, like the fact that if you want to share a folder deeper down in a hierarchy, you need to allow access to higher level folders for the most part. But that's a topic for a more advanced course. If you'd like to learn more about how permissions work, take a look at my course, Learning Linux Command Line.